We are aware that there is an urgent need in the world today for a global language. However, this need is not new. Linguistically mixed communities have been interacting with each other for thousands of years. In the past, this communication took place with the help of translators and interpreters. Monarchs, kings, and ambassadors would meet with each other in the presence of translators and interpreters. However, this kind of communication has its own problems. It is restricted and incomplete. There's a limit to how much you can convey with the help of an interpreter or translator. Also, this kind of communication is incomplete, as you can never convey the degree of intensity or the mildness of your feelings behind a thought. The solution to this problem is a common language called a lingua franca. When it comes to selecting a lingua franca, people have had different choices. People have adopted a simplified language used by different trading communities called a pidgin. Pidgin contained the elements of different languages which it was comprised of. An indigenous language can also be adopted as a lingua franca. Usually, it is the language of the most powerful ethnic group in the area. Other groups quickly learn this language and become bilingual to some extent. Mandarin Chinese is an example of such an indigenous language. But most often, a foreign language of a powerful nation is used as a lingua franca. This nation has a lot of political, military, and economic power, for example, English. The extent of use of a lingua franca depends on different political factors. It can be used between a few ethnic groups in one part of a single country. For example, if people from different parts of Pakistan get together in Lahore to work on a project, people from KPK, Sindh, Punjab, etc., they probably will use Urdu as a lingua franca to communicate with each other. A lingua franca can also be used between the trading populations of just a few countries and not a lot of countries or the whole world. A lingua franca can also be used between the countries in a particular part of the world. Mandarin Chinese is again an example which is used as a lingua franca in East Asia. The idea of a global lingua franca, that is, a lingua franca for the whole world, is comparatively a newer idea. It emerged in the 20th century, in particular since 1950s, after the Second World War, when several international bodies, particularly United Nations organizations, were established to solve disputes of the warring countries. There are two separate factors which are responsible for the growth in contacts among countries. One is the increased interaction among countries and at international forums. As we have just said, that several international organizations were established after the Second World War to bring the countries closer and to resolve their disputes. Organizations like United Nations Organization, World Bank, World Health Organization, UNESCO, and UNICEF. On a smaller scale, on a restricted level, organizations for regional cooperation like SAARC, NATO, and European Union were also established for the same reason. Contacts among different countries of the world have also increased as a result of technological developments, especially developments in communication technology and technology for transportation. So we need a common language for communication at international forums. UN has a membership of 109 countries, 190 countries in fact at the moment. Although UN started with 5 official languages only, which included Russian, Chinese, Spanish, English, and one other language. However, now a need is felt to reduce the number of official languages to save the cost of translation and interpretation, and a lot of other clerical work linked with translation and interpretation. However, language choice is a sensitive issue, as no country would want the official status of its language to be changed or the standing of its language to be lowered in an international organization. This problem can be resolved only by voluntary use of a common language as a working language. English, because of the increase in general competence in English and its popularity to be learned as a foreign language, has proved itself to be such a language. Another need for a global language is on business and academic front. Collaboration among scientists from different parts of the world is possible only because of a common language. For example, if a scientist from Sweden and a scientist from India want to work together on a research project, they will not be able to do so unless they use a common language. Similarly, a common language provides a lot of facilitation in international business. Again, a businessman, let's say from Japan, and a businessman from America will not be able to sign a contract or work on a project together if they did not use a common language.